The man hit the gas pedal and drove the car, chasing after them. The two vehicles raced side by side, neither giving way. Then, in a swift move, Rick leaped over and onto the other car. The man tried to reach for his gun, but Rick pinned him down and stabbed him in the abdomen with a knife. Finally, Rick tossed him off the car. However, the car continued to veer out of control and crashed into the roadside fence. Daryl hurriedly rode over on his motorcycle to inspect the scene. By the time he arrived, the car had flipped, and Rick was nowhere to be seen. Daryl's heart sank as he worriedly scanned the area. Just as Daryl was thinking, Rick crawled out of the grass. Daryl breathed a sigh of relief and reached out to help Rick up. The operation had gone off flawlessly, and they hadn't lost the heavy machine gun. Subsequently, they approached the roadside. The guy Rick threw down is still alive but on his last legs. Rick asked the man what happened to the man who went to attack their stronghold and which side won. The man, barely breathing, said, "Neither side won."
Everyone's dead.
Bullshit. There's no one else? You're the only one?
Me, the king. You, the Axeman. And that short-haired psycho lady.
Rick and Daryl exchanged a heavy glance. The people from the kingdom had all fallen.
I know. Me too.
The man's final act of kindness was sharing this information with them. Rick's mood grew somber. This war was no longer just a personal vendetta. Despite its brutality, they had to continue, otherwise, everyone in the region would remain trapped in darkness. The two of them reached the bottom of a slope and retrieved a wooden crate from the car. Upon opening it, they discovered several bundles of explosives. Daryl was pleased with the surprise. Daryl tells Rick that now that the kingdom is dead, he can use the bombs to destroy the Savior's Gate and let the zombies pour in, and it will all be over before nightfall. Rick didn't know what to say. It was like this brother of his was possessed. Maybe Daryl stopped being indecisive the moment Denise died. Anyone who was the Savior's deserved to die. Rick felt compelled to remind him that many workers were inside, and their families as well. To kill Negan and all the resistance fighters is all that is needed. Daryl understood all of this, but he wanted to avoid tragedy repeating itself. Daryl is deliberately trying to avoid the issue, and he's not going to be soft, so he's going to do it, even if he doesn't have the support. Rick grabbed Daryl, urging him not to act rashly, and to stick to the original plan.
Negan and that other group? This is on them. People die. It's their fault, not ours. Daryl, we can't do this.
Daryl doesn't care now. Seeing Daryl about to leave, Rick once again stepped in to stop him. This time Daryl fought back. Rick's eyes narrowed. This kid is for Rael. He went straight for Daryl. The two brothers wrestled on the ground, and in the scuffle, Rick accidentally tossed the explosives a distance away. Daryl goes right up and locks Rick in a chokehold, and then the car bursts into flames. Rick realized it was bad.
Get out! Get out!
The two brothers looked at the car helplessly. Now there are no more heavy machine guns or explosives. Yet, this incident brought them both to their senses. After a few minutes, they calmed down considerably. Rick tried starting the car's engine, but it was beyond repair. Daryl rode his motorcycle over to Rick, and although he only gave him a brief look, no words were exchanged. The tension from their earlier fights still lingered in the air. In the end, it was Rick who came over and spoke first.
There's a plan. Gotta see it through. We gotta win. Yeah, we gotta. Chokehold's illegal, asshole. Yes, it is.
A simple joke shows how men get along with each other. In the end, they parted ways, because according to the plan, Rick still has to do one more thing. After doing so, all of them will meet at the entrance of the Salvation Hall, and then completely end all of this. In this mission of attacking the three strongholds, the kingdom had the smoothest start, but the end was very miserable. At this moment, Carol and Jerry were escorting the injured Ezekiel back. The zombies still followed them. They entered a forest and came across a trench filled with zombies. The terrain was already difficult, and with an injured person, it became even more challenging. Ezekiel didn't want to burden them and suggested they leave him behind. Carol and Jerry couldn't possibly agree, so they insisted on helping Ezekiel down into the trench. The operation went well. They covered each other and soon reached the shore. Ezekiel doesn't want to go, and kills the zombies with his knife. Despite their advice, the deaths of his people made Ezekiel feel guilty, and he had no face to go back to his family.
You can't! I can't leave you, Your Majesty! Come on, man, just go! You're my king! No, I'm not! I'm not your king! I'm not your Majesty! Look at what's in front of us! That's what's real! Go! Go! I ain't no king!
Just as he was losing hope, his tiger Shiva charged out. Shiva disappeared when they were attacked, but now it's back. Shiva's appearance restored some of Ezekiel's sanity, and he began to climb back up to the surface. However, as he turned to look, he saw Shiva surrounded by zombies.
Shiva! Run there! Please, Jerry! Damn it, let me help her!
2 hours later, they returned to the kingdom. Ezekiel refused assistance from Carol and Jerry, determined to walk in on his own. The residents welcomed their king, but their expressions were filled with confusion about their missing loved ones. Carol and Jerry halted in front of them, and Henry, Benjamin's brother, approached. Ezekiel didn't have the courage to look up in front of the crowd and didn't have the courage to communicate with them. He just limped through the crowd. In this moment, the King Ezekiel's silhouette appeared desolate and forlorn. Among the welcoming women, tears had started flowing, knowing that their husbands and brothers would never return. And on the way to the hilltop, a line of people marched in great numbers. None other than Tara and others who had taken the Savior's captives with them. Tara and Morgan wanted to kill them all, but Jesus insisted on not killing innocent people and bringing them back, and he believed that Maggie would agree with him. As they were walking, the crazy Jared said to Morgan, he had been watching Morgan and felt that he was different from the others. Why is your armor so much smaller than everyone else's? It's like it's shrunken. Oh, my God, is this the kid's? What are you wearing that for? It didn't protect the kid. The discovery made Jared laugh. Little did he know, Morgan was struggling to restrain himself from taking action. Just as Morgan raised his gun, someone shouted about zombies on the hill. The group turned to see the fence breaking, and zombies tumbling down. Tara and the others had to kill the zombies rolling down the slope, but the numbers grew, and some of the bound saviors were bitten. Jared saw that everyone was busy and immediately shouted at the people behind him to hurry up and run away. Seeing this, Morgan immediately chased after them. The remaining captives also wanted to flee, but the man in the white shirt warned them against running, explaining they'd be shot if they did. The escaping group vanished into the woods. Jared, whom Morgan hated the most, was inside. How could he allow them to escape? It gave Morgan a reason to kill them. Someone fell to the ground, and because they were bound together by ropes, everyone stopped. Morgan approached calmly, furious. Morgan turned to Jesus and said, "They got away." And then, when they get the chance, they run away again, time and again. You think they're gonna change? Become good people? They won't. They won't ever change. Jesus interrupts Morgan, claiming that they'll find another way to house these people. He believed they could eventually live together peacefully after the war. Morgan didn't want to hear Jesus spouting those words. His mind was consumed with anger and hatred. So, he attacked Jesus. First round. Second round. Third round. Fourth round. Fifth round. Morgan's combat skills were unmatched, but his ideals were unrecognized. Now Morgan is being educated by the nimble Jesus because he is overwhelmed by hatred. This time, Jesus didn't resist. Only now did Morgan regain some clarity. Realizing he had lost control, he picked up the sniper rifle from the ground. Morgan left them. He feared he might lose control again if he stayed, so he headed toward the Savior's outposts. Meanwhile, Enid noticed a car approaching from a distance. Gregory brazenly returns to the Hilltop station. A few minutes later, the door opened slightly, just a crack. Maggie stared at the shameless man and asked why he was driving Gabriel's car and where Gabriel was. Gregory claimed the car was just there, and he hadn't seen the priest. Maggie's tone turned icy as she inquired why he was back. Gregory said it was his home, the place he built. Unlike some others who appeared out of nowhere, panicked, Gregory quickly began to apologize. saying he was just scared and didn't mean any harm. He admitted he was wrong and begged Maggie for mercy. "We're all just regular people. We all make mistakes." Maggie looked down and pondered, not knowing what to do. In the end, she let Gregory in. One reason is that Gregory built this community. Another was that this kind of person wasn't even worth killing. They'd give him one more chance. Just as Maggie left the guard post, someone called out to her again. Jesus had returned with the captured saviors. The first person to object was Gregory. He kept yelling that they couldn't put executioners here, that it was absolutely unacceptable. Maggie shared Tara's sentiment. Living here are the residents of the Hilltop, and if something goes wrong, nobody can bear that responsibility. Yet, Jesus was adamant. He proposed keeping them in custody for now and deciding what to do after the war. In the end, Maggie had little choice but to relent.